changed my focus students doesn't mean, I'm not focusing on them, but.
So could your data have been the growth that you see from where they weren't doing anything to where you're now seeing progress with them?
Well, the only issue that I see with that is that in the 5, almost 6 weeks that I've been there, there hasn't been any.
Any growth?
No.
Or any growth that you've noticed?
Well, I've been trying to pay pretty close attention, and one of the student that I work with that doesn't really know how to write, it's like and they're like standardized tests and stuff too. It's like hit or miss. Some days they're really great and they like, when seeing a letter, they can recognize it and say it. Whereas the next day they look at it and they just get mad because they're like, I don't know what it is. I don't know this. And so, I don't know. For my own sanity, I was just like, okay, we're going to go with 2 other students.
For your own sanity. That's as good a reason as any right now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did anybody else have a hard time with focus students? Because remember, they didn't have to just be IEPs or 504s or those kinds of things. They could also be your high flyers. They could be just about anybody you chose in the classroom. The PPAT portion of that, the teacher work sample that this part comes from, really wants you to do a kind of a differential. 2 students that are going to give you different data, give you different parameters that come out of that. Has anybody had the conversation with that focus student or the focus students yet to explain how you're going to use that data? No. Seeing negative on that. I think those conversations are going to be really fabulous because I think you're going to get, especially in the secondary, I think you're going to get some students who are going to be confused. And then I think you're going to get students who realize that you're attempting to do something different than most teachers would. You're actually trying to figure out what they've learned as opposed to how they've acted or how they've behaved or how they've slept or not shown up or those kinds of things. So it'll be interesting. The weather and the lack of school concerns me a little bit, that you guys haven't had enough time to, lengths of time in order to collect some really good data from that, but we'll see what you come up with. Okay. Anybody come up with any questions yet? Dun, dun, dun. All right. So
yeah, I have a random question if you're taking random questions right now.
I love random questions.
So I worked my CE. I emailed the subbing coordinator, my CE, and principal 8 days ago, last Monday. And I said, because I had multiple conversations with them, I said, I'm going to be subbing this day. I've got all my university. I've filled out all the work necessary, and I have every approval, and I CC'd all those people in it. And then the coordinator responds back to me and she says, thank you. And today when I showed up, there was a sub there. I said I was my own sub, and then they sent him to periods 1 through 3, but then sent him back to me. And my question is, do you think I'll get paid? Because that's what I'm most concerned about. They can send 100 people in there, but I just.
Yeah, probably not. Talk to your CE and find out if there was some miscommunication, because sometimes the CEs get to choose the subs. She might have chosen a sub earlier and forgot about it, or the district might not have been aware that she chose you, those kinds of things. So talk to your CE about that. Mm-hmm. I'm going to guess there's not a paycheck coming at the end of that day.
That's cringy.
Yeah, I do.
Well, because I emailed her that, and my CE was CC'd in it as well as the principal. And I said, I just want this email to be here so we're all on the same page and know that this is taking place. And she responded to me and acknowledged it. So I just figured that was
right. And be aware though, the school district doesn't have to hire you as a sub, right? Because you are there as a student teacher and it's a learning process. So if they've decided that they don't want you to sub, then that's kind of in their right to do so.
That's fair. I just figured the thank you was an acknowledgement that we're going forward rather than a suspended response actual kind of thing.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, thank you.
I just broke.
Yeah. Some of you have gotten opportunities to sub, haven't you? Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. All right. So video observations. Let's not be forgetting those. You need 2 of them, remember, by the end of the semester. And they take about a week each. And you shouldn't wait until April 1st. That's a big hint. In fact, April 1st, they should probably be done.
Hey, Mary,
Yes.
are they focused observations?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm asking because if it works for them to use them as part of their research methodology.
Oh, yeah, they could. They can figure out how to get that done.
Yeah, if it works. I just want to make sure that it doesn't interfere. Okay.
Yeah, no, they can do anything with that. In fact, if they need the entire video for whatever it is that they're doing for the methodology there, they can
Okay.
they can just focus on the one part that I want them to focus on and go from there. So no, double dip. That's awesome. Yes, Katie.
Okay, so I know that we had talked a lot about how to get the recordings, you know, like who should take it, what angle it should be from, all of those things. My concern with that is the fact that there are 26 first graders in the classroom. And I know that, like, especially when I'm teaching, my CE is doing, well, crowd control basically for the most part, and vice versa when she's teaching. And so how should I record?
You know those the lockers that they have in your classroom?
Yeah.
I kind of think the top of those lockers might be a good place to set your tablet.
Ah, that would be good. Okay, so it would be okay for me to just have it stationary?
Yeah, because your CE doesn't have time to walk around and record for you.
No.
No. So, but it would be ideal, Katie, if you recorded yourself at least once with nobody else in the classroom.
Yeah. To test it out.
Well, to test you out, to see whether or not you could handle that classroom without somebody else in it.
Oh, I mean, I've had the classroom without somebody else in it before.
Does it work well?
It works.
That's okay. Right?
We didn't die when it happened. So
that is a bonus. If there's no bloodshed at the end of the day, life is good.
Yeah. Paper cuts don't count, right?
That is, yes, because I used to get millions of them. Oh, fabulous. Anybody else have any problems videotaping in their classroom? No. Life is good? Ah, fabulous. All right, guys, get those done by like April 1, all right? I did send out a new calendar with the new observation dates when I'll be coming out. Check that out and make sure that there aren't any conflicts. Let me know that kind of stuff right away so that I can change it if I need to. Keaton, you got my email. I changed yours?
Yeah, I got it. We're all good.
Good. And that's in the morning, right?
Yep.
Oh, perfect. Teacher work sample A. If you haven't gotten a grade for that, go in and read your feedback. There's stuff that you still need to add to it. And as soon as you go ahead and do that, shoot me an email and I'll get that graded and put in there. There's only a few of you yet that are still waiting on that one. How many of you are finding the necessity of what you found in teacher work sample in teaching your class? Knowing the community, knowing the background, knowing the students a little bit. Are you finding that important?
Mm-hmm.
Anybody not finding that important? You guys are acting like first year teachers at about February. How many of you have gone through conferences? Were they fabulous? Somebody tell me about conferences.
They were
super long.
Oh, cool.
How many of you?
Go ahead, whoever.
everybody I've talked to down in the Sioux Falls area, they have like 6 people show up. Is that pretty much the norm? Like that
Yes.
many people?
Mm-hmm.
It's
I had
great.
60 people show up for mine, but my CE said she's had like 30 people show up before.
So what do you suppose the difference was, Keaton? Did she talk about that?
It was really, really cold the night we had conferences, so I'm sure that played a part.
That used to, if it was snowing or if it was blizzarding or if it was icy or if it was really, really cold, it would almost guarantee us 100% at conferences.
Weird.
Yeah. Well, everybody had to prove they could get out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, Carson, do you want to tell them what Harrisburg is doing next year?
For sure. They're talking about, well, they're moving for sure. I think they said to 1 conference time next year, just for the entire year. And then they're talking about phasing out conferences in general in the semi-nearish future. They made it sound like 5 years, maybe that would be something that might take place.
Yeah, I have him mention that for the main reason is that you guys should be contacting parents, not waiting for them to contact you. And always make that first contact something that's really fabulous, like your kid did this wonderful thing. Find something to send an email home about that says that your kid did something really great. And then if you ever have to send one home that says they're not doing something right or there's some sort of a behavioral problem, that second one then comes a lot easier because you've already reached out and started that connection with the parents, started that connection with the guardians of that student so that you can, because you're all going to have to make contact with parents at some point or other. Anybody had anybody grumpy yet? A little bit? Maybe not? I hope not. I hope that's like your second or third year of teaching, not while you're student teaching, but it happens, right? Seeing tons of good things of you guys when you're out teaching. You're fabulous in the classrooms. You are doing everything that you have been taught to do. And then some of you, almost all of you, are reaching beyond that and doing something beyond what that midline is. You're all trying something different in the classroom. The one thing that I'm noticing from almost all of you is that you are taking what you did before and you are modifying it to go forward into the future. We couldn't ask for anything better. That's a reflective teacher. We want you to do that. We don't want you to say, oh, this didn't work and throw it away. We want you to look at it. We want you to figure out why it didn't work, and then we want you to try it again in a different way. So don't give up on it. And I'm seeing that from all of you guys. It's really fabulous. Your clinical evaluators all got a midterm. Did anybody ask any questions about that?
Do we have to fill that out too?
You do not. If you want to, we're going to have you do it at the end of the semester. It's a good idea though, Allison, to make sure that you, as you and your CE are going through it, you should be pondering what it is you need to work on within that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then the other one that they're doing is the professional attributes. So make sure that they get both of those. I've sent those emails out to everybody, but if your CE doesn't have it, make sure that you let me know so I can make sure that they're on my list, right? Hannah?
Do they send it to you, or do we have to send it to you from them?
Either of those ways works. A lot of them have already sent it to me. The biggest thing that I want to happen is that they've gone over it with you, that you've had that discussion with them, that you've had that conversation with them. So either you can send it to me or they can send it to me. Both those ways work. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just make sure that that conversation has occurred. Sometimes that can be the hardest thing to do, is to go through that critique with your CE, because they can be pretty honest in some of those things. It's also one of the best things. We all get critiqued in those mannerisms, in those ways that we teach and what we're doing and how they would do it. But again, ask questions. That's what you guys are out there for. Ask them why. Ask them what's going on. How can you improve it? What would you have done differently? Take all of that information and then make it your own, okay? Awesome. All right, teachers, what's up? What else do you need from me?
Money.
I love your honesty, Carson.
Kind of my point in my life. It just is kind of annoying at this point.
I hear you. I hear you. And that can be, it can be a huge stressor on your life as well. Because here's the reality. You guys are out there working a full-time job, getting all of the stresses that go with being a teacher, and you don't get a paycheck at the end of the month. And that can be frustrating, especially if you are working jobs on top of your student teaching just to pay rent and eat and those kinds of things. No joke about it. Money is a high stress factor. It is. So other than money, what can I help you with? Everything is good with everybody? I don't know. So a couple things you guys need to keep on your radar. Spring is right around the corner, regardless of what Mother Nature is telling us. It's a different time in schools. You're going to have the testing start to occur. You're going to have teachers who are going to start pushing to get their stuff done in order to test their students. Students are going to start seeing snow melt and green grass popping through, and they're going to start thinking spring and summer, and they're not going to want to sit in the classroom. You guys are going to have to up what you're doing to match their distraction. You're going to have to get them more actively involved. You're going to have to get them moving. You're going to have to get them doing things, not just sitting and getting, right? Because springtime is tough in schools. It just is. Not to mention, if most of you have counted the number of days, actual physical days that you have teaching left this semester, it's not very many. By the time you get Easter break, you get some of the spring breaks that are occurring, you get another snowstorm or two, you get proms, you get track, you get all sorts of activities that start to occur. And so you need to plan accordingly to get the most out of every day that you are there. Some of you starting to notice it already? Yeah. Basketball's wrapping up. Basketball Regions is starting this week. State B's is in 2 or 3 weeks. After that, track is going to start hard and heavy. It's going to be a killer. All right, so what's going good, guys? Anything you need from me? No. They're rock stars. Andy, do you remember being this tired?
Yes, all the time.
Yeah.
It's a tough time. It's very tough.
How many of you guys are doing a lot of work at home? Like more work than you thought it would be. You knew you were going to have to work at home, but how many of you are working at home? A lot. Yeah. Oh, it happens, right? All right, I'm done with you guys. If you're done with me, you guys know where I am if you need me, right? And you guys are going to join Andy. Andy, you want them to join onto your other thingy, right?
No, I can just, if you don't mind, you can stay
No.
on unless you
Yeah,
want to get
no,
off.
go
But
for
I
it.
just want to check in and say some things.
Perfect.
Katie was actually part of last week's, but
Does that mean that I can leave or should I stay?
if you want to, but I just want to say it's always great to hear how things are going when you talk to your clinical mentor, and I want to also acknowledge that it's a very difficult time student teaching. This has been the worst winter I can remember. I've been here 15 years. It's the worst winter. It's like the movie Groundhog Day, but instead it's called Snow Day, and it happens all the time. And looks tomorrow could be another a day off school, possibly. So, what I'm hoping does not happen in Seed 456 is that I'm creating one more thing for you to drive you crazy or to feel like this is, it's just setting you over the edge. I have requested that you submit into a Dropbox your question and your methods for pursuing that question. That's I'm calling your research design. For two reasons I want you to do that. One, so I can kind of say, give my blessing. All of you have connected with me at one point, and some of you already have a good question. But I'd like you to just post it in there with your plan for how you're going to study, the conceptualization, rationale, pre-reflection part of your paper. That's what I'm looking for. So parts A and B. Jennifer, I don't see you. I just see orange. But I read yours today, and it looked great. And so what I'll do is when you post it on the site, I will just give you feedback. It's non-graded. It's just a way for me to say, great, you have my blessing, go forth and spend the next 6-7 weeks doing research. So once you get it on there and I give you some feedback, you're free to go ahead. Now, some people have already moved forward on their projects, and that's fine. It's just that I don't want anybody to be doing something that maybe get you in trouble, or I don't want someone to just forget about, wait till the last minute. This isn't a kind of project you can do that. It does take 6 or 7 weeks of good data collection and then making sense of your data. So be sure to post your research design plan on the D2L, in the D2L Dropbox, and I will give you feedback. If you have other questions, you can always reach me via email. You can call me. I've had a couple students call me at night after school. Some who can't make the video conferences, that's fine. And any way I can assist you, I will do that. But I will say, right now I'm pretty impressed with what people are doing so far, which is really great, because it's not easy, especially the first time. It's not just that you're being a teacher researcher, you're a student teacher as researcher, which means it's the first time you've ever done this. And it's a mindset, it's a way of looking at yourself as a teacher that maybe you're not used to. I'm not sure about that, Mary, because I think maybe Patrick I think inquiry has been a large part of your program, but this is a more in-depth kind of inquiry. So does anybody have any questions about anything? Anybody stuck on anything or not quite sure what they should be doing? Or
How long does this have to be, the research paper?
If you go back to the assignment, it lists the different sections.
Okay.
So how long does that actually have to be? It's really hard to say, Hannah. Let me put it this way: what you submit for your research design will be a good chunk of part A. Other than it doesn't have to be in narrative form when you submit it now, but you'll write it up as a narrative. You'll basically say, I'm choosing, this is what I'm interested in because I have this interest. This is a problem in my classroom. This is a concern I've had as a teacher or a student teacher. So this is why I want to study it. You'll do a little bit of a lit review. It doesn't have to be very, very extensive, but it has to be enough so that you can provide some support for what you're doing. You can say that, well, there is some research that exists, may not have been done by teachers, but it's research that supports the idea, for example, that when you engage students, they learn, for example. So it's hard to say how long it'll be, but when you write it up, I will put on the D2L site information about how to write up the paper, and I was going to do that this week, but I thought it's kind of premature to do that. Nobody's in that position to write it up yet. But much of what you might include might go into an appendix or appendices, because you might, if you use a questionnaire or something like that, or have field notes or something, you might want to put some of those in an appendix. So really what I'm looking for is a narrative that says, here's what I did, here's why, here was my question, here are the data, the methods I used to collect data, here's how I analyzed it, here's what I found out, here's what I think it means, without being conclusive, because you can't be in this kind of research. Here's what I think it means, and here's what I learned about myself, about the whole research process, about students, about teaching, about who I want to be as a teacher. Those are the kind of things that'll go into that paper. And then you'll do an oral presentation. I'll mention that too. Some folks said they can't be at the April 24th meeting, EER conference that Patrick's doing. In which case, let me know that, and I will ask you to present your work at your school to your clinical educator and a few other teachers who can be an audience for your presentation. And then I'll send the rubric to them so that they can give you feedback. The oral presentation will be something you can just show on your computer to a small group of people. I envision, for example, at the EER conference, there'll be roundtables. And so for 20 minutes, you'll have maybe your computer opened up with a PowerPoint presentation outlining what you did, and you'll have discussion with people at your table about what you found, what it means, that kind of thing. Really painless. So again, none of this is meant to be excruciating or difficult for you. It's hopefully a way to kind of provide a new lens on your teaching, and maybe sharpen the focus a little bit, help you examine something about who you are. Some people are doing more self-studies. Some people are actually looking at lessons or methods in the classroom. So all of that's fine. I don't expect, like a major dissertation or anything. So, but I'm not sure, and I can give you an exact page number. Yeah, I think you'll know when it feels right.
Okay.
Sorry for the long answer. Any other questions?
Is it too late to change our question?
No, but obviously you want to, I'm hoping that all of you are ready to be able to pursue. Some people are collecting data now, but I would like you to make sure that you're having enough time to collect the data. So, Katie, as I was listening to you and you were talking about the 2 students who you didn't feel like you could collect data from, honestly, although I don't want you to really focus on individual students, because then you have to go through a process of a lot of permission, getting a lot of permission. It might be interesting to look at why students, what is it about students that keep them from engaging in the classroom? I know you're in an immersion classroom. Is Carson also in one, or is he still in?
Zulema is.
Who is?
No, I'm sorry. I'm listening.
Zulema and I are both in immersion.
You and
Carson
who?
is just in a Spanish classroom. Right, Carson?
Yeah, that's right.
But somebody else is in an immersion classroom.
Zulema.
Zulema.
Zulema, yeah. So I know that's a little different, but this is just a great opportunity for you to study something that really puzzles you, something you wonder about, something that drives you crazy, something that interests you, but not just about the students or teaching, but it could be about you. I have numerous students, and maybe some of you here, who really want to focus on basic questions like, who am I as a teacher? What do I believe teaching means? What do I value? What do I believe? Who am I becoming? How do I want to be when I get into the classroom of my own? What kind of teacher do I want to be? Because I think that's really important to have a sense of that. And some people in the process of studying that are writing an autobiographical account that says things like, well, here's what I believe, here's what I think teaching is, here's what I think it means, here's who I want to be as a teacher, here's what I believe, value, and understand. And maybe their philosophy of education, which, I don't know, you might have done that for Dr. Bernalini, but it's probably changed over the last 4 years. And it will continue to change over the course of your career as a teacher. I'm sure Mary can account for this, but when I started teaching, I was very behaviorist. I was really into like the rewards and punishments and that kind of thing. Then over time, I became much more Vygotskian in my work, more social constructivist in my views, and I would say increasingly more ecological. In other words, I wanted to understand the context, the backgrounds of my families and the children, and how that influenced how they learned and what made them act the way they did and think the way they did when they came to class, and to pay more attention to kids who weren't eating, who weren't getting, proper nutrition, who were possibly being abused or being bullied on the way to school, and how all those things affected how they did in the classroom. So I really became focused on what I call developmental contextualism. My background's different than yours. I was an early childhood person with a strong developmental background, but even so, it all is relevant to all of you. So so use this opportunity to really develop a question that you feel is really meaningful to you. Okay. And if I try to convince you to do something different and you say, no, I really like my question, then fine, but I just want to help get it to be researchable, which means something that you can collect data on without having to go through a lot of extra work of getting permissions and so forth. I always say the methods you use should be the methods that are commonly available to all teachers. You look at data, you look at student work, artifacts, you can talk to students, you can talk to teachers, you can do focus groups, you can do surveys, questionnaires, checklists, field notes, observations. I'm telling everybody to keep a research journal. And what I think was important about a research journal is that it's a place for you to write about things, everything from how your day is going to thoughts, ideas, hunches, questions that you have about your research, or issues that are coming up in the classroom, how your question might be changing, things that you want to maybe talk to Mary about. Mary can become a critical friend for you, which just means you can bounce ideas off of her if you want to know. She's an experienced teacher, and I'm sure she's although I'm finding, and I'm sure Mary is too, there's always some new situation that I've never dealt with after 30 years of teaching. But for the most part, there's a lot of things we have encountered along the way, so we can help out. Your clinical educator can be a critical friend. Someone you know really well in your major, your discipline, can be a critical friend. The other reason I'm having you post your question and design in the Dropbox is so I can look and see who's doing similar things. So I could say, Carson's doing something like Allison, maybe, and then I could make sure you're connected to each other. Because a lot of people are, and I don't know specifically what you're all doing right now, I don't have it in front of me, but I know a lot of people are looking at how, what they can do to help motivate students, or what kinds of activities motivate or inspire or engage students in learning, because they're concerned about that. Other people are looking at assessment practices. Some people are looking at homework, a lot of self-study going on. Yeah, so anyway, you can change your question, Katie, but don't wait too long. And if any of you have already sent me your question and I said, hey, this is great, just repost that in the D2L site on the Dropbox with your plan for how you're going to study it. So just an outline. One page is what people are doing mostly. So that's what I just wanted to check in and make sure you understood. And if there are no other questions, I really appreciate your time, and don't hesitate to ask me, email me, whatever. Or send something through Mary. She can always, Mary's right across the hall. We're across the hall from each other, so we bug each other a lot. Well, I probably bug her more than she bugs me.
I love being bugged.
Because she knows about technology, which I'm just learning all about. So, anyway.
Hey, as a final, did you all sign up and plan on taking your PLTs? Get that done. You cannot get your certificate without it. And some of you have taken it. Was it easy? Thumbs up? Thumbs down? Thumbs up? Wasn't as bad as you thought it was going to be? Good. Good, good, good. Awesome. All right, Andy, if you don't have anything else, I don't have anything else. How about you guys? Do you have anything else? Life is good? And you're all going to go correct papers?
Yay.
Or you could watch Netflix or wait for
Go to
someone to
bed.
get called off or... All right, you guys. Hey, enjoy the rest of your week. Thanks, Andy.
Yep. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Yep.